Okay, next we're going to go into what we had due and what is coming up. So what you had due from last week, and you can follow that by going into content, evaluation, and then part 1, reading and analyzing. You actually will have to read these, but you had several questions, and so you complete this PowerPoint here. It says evaluation essay, and there's questions. And it gives you the order that you should follow things in, and also other things that you should think about in that PowerPoint. So you complete these, and you should have already uploaded those because those were due as of last Friday. And make sure that when you're answering questions, this is college now, so I really shouldn't even have to say this, but make sure that you're supporting your answers with evidence from the article. Or if you're responding to anything, no matter what the assignment is, you have to have evidence to support your answer. And the evidence will most likely come from the articles and from not stories, but from the articles that you're reading. So make sure you have evidence. So moving on, we are going to go into part 2 in writing. And here is your essay assignment that you should read. And then you've got your due dates of your rough draft, peer review, and so on, just like the other module. And you also have a reading list here. Okay, so we are in chapter 8, so you do need to make sure that you've read the chapter and that you're paying attention to the sections in blue. Another section that's called basic features. And then also the guide to writing on page 425 is extremely important for you to have a look at. So for the evaluation, you are going to have to make a judgment about your subject. Okay, you're going to have to give reasons for your judgment, and these reasons have to be based on standards, not just because you said so or because you just don't like it. That's not really a standard. And then finally, you have to support your reasons with examples and other details from your subject. So you're thinking, what am I going to write about? If you look further down on the page where it says finding a subject to write about, you're going to get to have a list, and you can come up with several different options. I recommend that you don't choose the first subject that comes to mind because that never seems to work out well. So instead, think about it. Think about the following topics. We are going to open up a little PowerPoint. This comes from page 425 in your book. You should be following along. Okay, so what are some things that we can write about? Of course, this list is not, complete. You could definitely think of your own topic. One thing that I want to make sure, though, of one big note is it cannot be a movie review. It cannot be something that I could read by going to Family Video and reading the back of the box of a DVD or Blu-ray. Also, cannot be a Wikipedia article or Wikipedia article style. Okay, there's a very specific style that I'm looking for, and you'll find that style in the guide to writing, and you could base your essay in the similar style of the essays that you've read. So think about doing something that is relevant to your life, something that interests you. Usually when you write something that interests you, your readers will also find it interesting. So you could do an evaluation of a TV program. You could do an evaluation of a computer game, of a recording, of a film, of a museum, or of a work of art, but make sure that you're using your own ideas and you're supporting those ideas with evidence. I just don't want you to be copying, pasting, or heavily borrowing ideas, but then never actually reading anything that is original to you. They mentioned some other subjects that you could evaluate, like an amusement park, a museum, a restaurant, a sports team, a national or state park. Okay, you could even, if you turn over to page 426, they give you more things that you could think about in your evaluation essay. So 425 and 26 has a lot of different topics that you could think about and some things. And then you should also really think about, why are you interested in the subject? What do you like and dislike? How can you become familiar with your subject over the next week? Because your essay, your rough draft is coming due soon. So if you're writing about, if you're going to think you're going to evaluate Paris, but you went to Paris for a week when you were 9 years old, that's not going to be a really great evaluation, because that's not something that you can actually evaluate right now. It needs to be something that you know, something that you can see, something that you can do, but something that you can be familiar with now, and not something that you're relying on in distant memories. The next thing is that you have to have a judgment. You have to make an evaluation. Don't just say, it can be good and bad depending on the person. No, I want to know, what is your evaluation? It's really similar to when you write a review on Yelp, or when you write a review on Facebook. You're making an evaluation. The difference is that now we're taking that sort of idea, but we're turning it into a 3 to 4 page paper. And so that means you need to have topic sentences. You need to have supporting details. Your evidence needs to be incorporated in your own analysis. And you'll see examples of that when you read these articles, and you see how the author does not just copy paste a quote and have it in a sentence by itself, but rather the author combines that quote along with the words that he or she originally was using, and the idea that he or she originally had to begin with. So as you're reading and as you're thinking, what do I want to write about for this next essay? I really recommend that you look over and read, not just scan it, but actually read through the pages that are called Guide to Writing, because those are going to help you. So that covers that part. You need to be looking at the Guide to Writing. Those are the last blue pages in Chapter 8, just to get an idea of what to do for your rough draft. And then, of course, as we go back and we review those again, then we can talk about revising and we can talk about rewriting. But if you ignore the pages in the chapter, then of course you're going to be lost, because reading Chapter 8 is part of knowing what an evaluation is all about.